Buenas tardes a todos, bienvenidos. Para una mejor experiencia, les solicitamos por favor que mantengan sus micrófonos muteados. Todo el material que presentaremos puede ser utilizado para difusión y promoción. Muchas gracias y que disfruten del evento.
Muy buenas tardes a todos y cada uno de ustedes. Nuevamente nos encontramos aquí donde ocurre toda la acción. History le da la bienvenida a uno de los personajes más icónicos de la televisión, a nada más y nadie menos que a Giorgio. Así que vamos a ver una promo de lo que viene en la nueva temporada, la temporada número 14 de Ancient Aliens o Alienígenas Ancestrales. Veamos la promo.
Los extraterrestres que vinieron a la Tierra hace miles y miles de años, ellos visitaron cada continente de nuestro planeta y es por eso que las imágenes son tan parecidas.
Giorgio piensa que todas las civilizaciones antiguas fueron visitadas por extraterrestres. ¿Y tú? ¿Tú qué crees?
Alienígenas Ancestrales llega a 14 temporadas, siendo sin lugar a dudas el líder en toda y cada una de las pantallas de History, tanto a nivel lineal como a nivel no lineal. En VOD y en XVOD sigue siendo la punta de lanza y el show más visto por todos los fans de History y de todo lo desconocido. Es algo importante también tomar en cuenta que Giorgio, sin lugar a dudas, es el gran embajador de toda esta gran franquicia de misterio, que es la más importante hoy por hoy en History Channel. Una de las cosas más importantes es que Giorgio siempre nos deja con más preguntas que respuestas, pero sin lugar a dudas siempre nos da la idea de que existen otros seres, otra vida y otro tipo de existencia alrededor de nosotros. No estamos solos. Una de las cosas también importantes es que hemos desarrollado franquicias locales de alienígenas ancestrales y también shows nuevos con personalidades tan conocidas como nuestro amigo Jaime Maussan. Y ahora vamos a conversar en vivo y en directo con Giorgio.
Hola César, ¿cómo estás? ¿Todo bien?
Súper bien, Giorgio. ¿Y tú?
Muy bien, gracias. Pero prefiero hablar en inglés.
Okay. So the question that everybody has is what we should expect in this new season of Giorgio and Ancient Aliens with History.
Well, I mean,
What's new?
it's 14 seasons. It's absolutely incredible that we're still here, and we're here only because of the audience. So first and foremost, I'd like to say thank you for everyone that has been tuning in for all these years, and that everybody is interested in the topics that we discuss. And for this new season, in season 14, where we have the first 3 episodes that are going to line up, is The World on Alert, Recovering the Ark of the Covenant, and Beneath the Sacred Temples. Now, I know that we have covered the Ark of the Covenant before, but this time we look deeper, we look at different mysteries in different countries. So over time, the mysteries change. New things have been learned, and so it's good to revisit some of the places, and especially The World on Alert. That's brand new, exploring what's going on right now around the world with the various UFO disclosures that governments worldwide have begun.
So what do you think is the real reason not only the White House, but other governments around the globe have finally decided to open all the books, let it out, and talk openly about the existence of aliens around the world?
I think it's because the truth can no longer be hidden. Something is going on in our skies. And now even Navy pilots have come forward to say, we fly for a living. We're up there every single day with us, the most advanced technological aircraft that exist in the world. The United States has the best airplanes there are, the best jets, the best fighter jets. And so for U.S. Navy pilots from the Air Force to say there's something going on up there. And they also have reported that sometimes these craft would fly much, much faster than what we're known for or that we can do. You have to ask the question, what is going on? And so not just governments like in Brazil or in Chile, they're releasing, or Chile has released, as one of the first countries in the world to have released UFO files. Now the United States has come forward, and only 2 weeks ago, the US government released a report saying that some of those objects in the sky, according to their assessment, are not, and I quote, not man-made. So, you can't have it both ways. So all the people that are out there debunking this stuff, good luck. We are sitting on the right horse.
So what is exactly the official version of the US government regarding the existence of aliens?
Well, look, I think that right now what is happening is that we are in a process that I call, or that's called disclosure. And oftentimes people think that disclosure is a one-time event, something like this, where it's a press conference and, somebody gives a statement and that's it. But I think that disclosure, and I've mentioned this many times before, disclosure is a process, and we're right in the middle of that process. And I liken it to the end of an old toilet flush when it really gurgles and there's a loud coughing noise at the very, very end. And then the calmness, returns to the toilet bowl. So I think right now we're at the end of a gigantic flush and we're in the middle of the coughing and the gurgling. And soon, I hope, calm will enter our society again. And so I think the official stance is something is going on. And that is exactly what they're saying. And anybody who says that it's all drones, they don't know what they're talking about.
So I couldn't imagine a better conversation with you than a reference to toilet bowls. But I'm going to open the Q&A with our friends, all our media journalists from around Latin America. So Mariana, we are ready for a round of questions.
Yes, we are going to start with Jaime Maussan from Mexico.
So Giorgio, Jaime Maussan is
Hi,
probably
Jaime,
the
how
most
are you?
recognizable name in Latin America.
We met
Yes.
many years ago when Giorgio was not so well known. Through many congresses, we worked together. And since then, I remember him. And then I saw him becoming a real superstar through Ancient Aliens. I'm very proud from him. I mean, I feel really happy because he was the one after Eric von Daniken who really put this subject on the table. I mean, we have been visited for thousands of years, and Giorgio has been able to prove that. And for me, that was very, very important. Now, I have a question for Giorgio. Is now that we are seeing disclosure, as you said, it's already happening. It's not a one-time event. It's not the president of the United States telling everybody on a Friday night that this is real. I think really that a disclosure already that happened. Now it's after disclosure. People around the world are accepting this phenomenon. How this is going to change the reality of the ancient aliens?
First of all, it's so great to see you again, Jaime. Wonderful.
Yes.
You look fantastic, so I'm glad that you're great. And and by the way, you too have revolutionized the UFO field. So, you are also a superstar, and don't you forget it. Now, how do I think that this will change the world? Well, what I found so interesting is the fact of the matter is that when in 2017, in December, the first documents were leaked that the Pentagon was officially studying UFOs and essentially corroborating what we've been saying that they have been doing for at least 50 years, even though they said it was shorter, but you can always read in between the lines. The following day, life continued. And so, I think that people, they still, so there was always this idea that if and when aliens show themselves, or if the truth is finally revealed that aliens are real, that the world, or that the planet would break out in panic. And that has not happened, at least so far. And I find that interesting insofar that the reason for that is because we come from out there. They are our parents. We are their offspring. Of course, through evolution, of course, we have a fossil record, but this idea of the ancient astronaut theory that sometime our DNA was changed is something that we still talk about today in the ancient astronaut theory. And so I think that this idea that we have an intergalactic connection to other species and civilizations out there is something that's hardwired within us. So I think it's essentially just a rediscovery and a reacceptance of how it all began and where we came from. So I think it's all wonderful. And the fact that so far no panic has broken out, no panic worldwide, illustrates to me, yes, we can handle it. So give us the truth already. Because many of us thought that there could be, geopolitical changes once we know about alien life. Well, as we now have seen over the past 6 months, we don't need aliens to affect our geopolitical situation on Earth. We can do it ourselves as idiotic humans. So, take your pick.
What I mean is, now that the astronomers like the astronomers from Harvard and other, the Galileo Project and so on, are accepting this reality, this possibility, what is going to happen with the archaeologists and the anthropologists?
I actually would like to mention something about that Galileo project. Harvard does not, or the Galileo project does not accept the ancient astronaut theory. In fact, in their papers, in their outline, and I read it closely, it says that they're looking for traces of extraterrestrial life everywhere in our solar system except for Earth. So, all right, good luck.
No.
Of course, there will be remnants found on the moon, on Mars, and perhaps on Ceres and Phobos, all these different planetary objects that we have, or solar system objects that we have. But this idea that we should look elsewhere besides our home planet, to me, is absolutely, it smacks of the absurd. Because if extraterrestrials came to our solar system, then of course they would go to a planet that could ultimately host life, intelligent life. And so we know that on Venus or on any of the other planets, Mars is on the cusp, but all the other ones, they're not life supporting in the sense that we know of. So for Harvard or for the Galileo Project to say we're looking everywhere except for on Earth,
it's crazy.
Okay,
it's crazy.
Great, good for
it's
you.
Crazy.
But so this to me, there will be a paradigm shift there as well. That the Galileo Project or whatever project there will be one day, they will academically start studying this on Earth, and this show and Eric von Daniken and all the people who subscribe to this idea, we're the ones who paved the way for that.
They will be forced, Giorgio. They will be forced. Remember that. The archaeologists and anthropologists are going to have to change. When this reality is accepted, we're going to have to look back to the past. And then they will have to accept that we have been visited, not now, but thousands of years ago. Thank you very much, Giorgio.
Thank you, Jaime. Pleasure. Give my love to everyone.
Thank you, Jaime. Don't go away. We always love you to have you here. Well, Giorgio, we have more questions for you. Mariana, let's go.
Yes, Esteban Cruz from Colombia, from Más Allá TV program.
Hello, Giorgio. How are you?
Good. How
Colombia.
about you?
I have one question. There is a theory that ancient astronauts are time travelers that come from the future. What do you think about this theory?
It's a great idea and a great question. And we've actually had a couple of episodes in which we have explored this particular question. But since you have asked me personally, I am on the fence with time travel. And that is that theoretically, on paper, and Einstein proved this,
Ya
yes.
saqué fotos, pero ay, me dejé tanto para que no digan entró, sacó fotos y se fue.
Okay, so I'm hearing voices.
Don't worry. No.
On the other end.
We always hear Giorgio. Keep going.
Okay. So Einstein proved that, theoretically, time travel is possible, but more into the future, not into the past. And the past is another problem. And so as someone who is familiar with the ancient texts, there is not a single ancient text that says when these ancient gods are described that they are visitors from the future. If anything, they always say we are visitors from a distant planet or from a distant world. But they didn't say we are you from the future. So I've actually said for almost 20 years that if somebody can find me one passage where it says that someone of our ancestors was told, okay, by these extraterrestrials, we are you, but we are from the future, I'll give them, I don't know, $100. So, so far, that challenge still stands. So the idea about time traveling is interesting, but as soon as you look at the reality behind it, the physicality behind it, the energy resources needed for such a machine, and also to compare that with ancient texts in which we look for these clues, I have not found anything. So at the same time, though, never say never. But so far, I have not found my concise proof. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Giorgio.
Thank you, Esteban. Next question, please.
Yes, Jorge Luis Subsor from Argentina.
Jorge Luis, te escuchamos.
Jorge Luis.
Hola, ahora sí. Hello, Giorgio. How are you?
Hi, good. How about you?
Fine. Hago la pregunta en español, así.
Ok, yo te ayudo.
Es exacta. Que yo lo que quiero preguntarte, Giorgio, es si ves coincidencias entre los relatos antiguos de la historia y lo que están contando los testigos modernos, especialmente los pilotos de la Fuerza de la Marina de Estados Unidos.
Giorgio, his question is very direct to the point. He wants to know if you see or find any coincidence between the old stories about UFOs and the new ones, especially the ones coming from the pilots and the governments.
Well, yes, no, of course there is a connection between ancient aerial sightings and the aerial sightings that we have today, because in ancient times they would not refer to them as UFOs, but they would refer to them as orbs of light or flying shields or flying spears or flying houses or flying palaces. And so the fact of the matter is that our ancestors witnessed and saw things flying in the air, and oftentimes then also descending from the sky and landing right in front of them. And so while the landing part may not be happening today in front of a camera, but the lights and the objects that we see flying across the sky these days, that the Navy pilots have now come forward and said that these things exist, is something where I can say that the ancient astronauts, they never left us a faction stayed to do what? To watch. And why would they watch? Well, that's what they've been doing for times immemorial, because they've always been called the Watchers. They were called the guardians of the sky. So what do? They watch and they look at our progress. And, that's so I absolutely do think that there is a connection between our ancient times and today, and most likely it's the same visitors.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question.
Tiago Tisetti from UFO Magazine, Brazil.
Hi, Giorgio. Nice to see you again. We met in Brasilia 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and was a great
where is
pleasure.
AJ? Please give him my love.
I will. He's fine. He's a medical examiner right now, so I'm here to represent the magazine.
Oh, now I can
Giorgio,
see your picture. Good to see you again. How are you?
I'm fine. My question is, I was in Nazca. I visited Nazca once at a time, and I could see that wonder. My question is, what is more intriguing to you, the geoglyphs or the sliced mountains? What's the mystery of Nazca?
Okay, that's a great question. And my answer to that would be that I cannot pick which of the two is more important, because in my opinion, both happened at the same time, and it was done by the same people. So whoever created the Nazca lines in the sand, and it was not aliens, it was human beings. Just so you hear it from me and not from the internet and not from the meme. The Nazca lines were created by human beings. Now, why? In order to signal the so-called gods up in the sky that they saw and most likely had physical interactions with. And so this whole idea of cutting down these two mountaintops at Nazca is a combination of those things, because I am sure that this was the idea, that it's not just the Nazca lines that are important. It's not just the figures. It's not just the cut off mountaintops. It's the entire combination of that place. So, I think that, the Nazca lines, regardless of what people say that, oh, all the mysteries over at Nazca have been solved, they have not, because this idea that you can just go and with your feet, you scratch the surface of the sand and then you can create a line like this, it's not true, because obviously, and you've been there, yes, it's hot, but sometimes it also can get very windy, especially at night. So, the sand would just be carried away. So it's as if something or someone came and they basically just stamped those lines into the ground. And how that was done or by whom, that's the big question. Now, of course, again, the Nazca lines was created by humans in order to signal whoever visited them or looked down from the sky.
Thank you very much, my friend. Hope to see you soon.
Wonderful.
You will. Next question, please.
Now is it? Yes, Danny Phantom from Venezuela.
Hi, Giorgio.
Hi.
Mi pregunta la voy a hacer en español también. Tengo dos preguntas de cuestión, pero son cortas. Considerando la cercanía, sí. Okay.
Dame una
Considerando la cercanía que seres de otros mundos tenían con nuestros antepasados, ¿cuál considera que puede ser el evento que los alejó de la humanidad?
Taking into consideration how close our ancient civilizations were with aliens as we know it, what do you think was the main reason or the main event that separated them or took them apart?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
I will repeat. He's saying that for everything that we know about our history and the history of our civilizations, they understand that our ancient civilizations and the aliens were very close, very tight, because they used to work or cohabit with each other.
Oh, and why not today?
Exactly. Why the separation?
Oh, yeah, sure. Right. That's a great question. That's a great question. And a possible answer to this is that back in the day when the extraterrestrials showed themselves, the extraterrestrials knew that they would be considered gods. And we all have to agree there are no gods. Gods do not exist. And if anything, God should be written with a lowercase g. And the idea why we had gods in the past is because of a concept that anthropologists and archaeologists refer to as cargo cult behavior. Cargo cult behavior is when a primitive advanced society comes in contact with a technologically primitive society. So if a technologically advanced society comes in contact with a technologically primitive society, over time, the technologically primitive society begins to worship the technologically advanced society. And this has happened throughout history all the way into the 20th century. And so this idea that someone came down from the sky during a time when the technological frame of reference was primitive of our ancestors, of course our ancestors were like, wow, who is coming down from the sky? It has to be God. It has to be divine. When in reality, that was never the case. And we, by the way, also on the show have never suggested that whoever came back then and visited us, that they were divine or that they were actual gods. It was a misunderstanding, a giant misinterpretation of basically the concept that Arthur C. Clarke proposed when he wrote that any sufficiently, and this is the quote, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And that quote right there perfectly sums up the ancient astronaut theory, yes. And so why not today? Well, because today, if and when the extraterrestrials would show themselves publicly, which, by the way, with all of these videos of the sky that we've now seen, not one time has anybody said, oh my gosh, these must be gods up in the sky. No, they're UFOs. They're some type of a machine or some type of an object. But nobody in their right mind today would say, oh, we're being visited by gods or by God. So therein lies the difference. It's not a matter of intellect. It is a matter of technology and its technological frame of reference. Because whoever argues that the technological frame of reference of our ancestors from 2,000 years ago is the same as ours today, they don't know what they're talking about. Of course it's different. It's vastly different. But our intellect is the same. So it's a matter of a technological frame of reference. And if you don't know how someone just came down from the sky, well, you've just been visited by a god. But in reality, that's not the case. So I hope that answers the question.
That answered the question and other questions as well. Danny, what is your second question? ¿Cuál es la segunda parte?
En todo esto, ¿cree que el mundo está preparado para rehacer esos lazos con los extraterrestres?
Do you think we are ready right here, right now, as a whole civilization to meet once again with aliens?
Yes, of course we are ready. Give us everything already, because, and then we can just move on with our lives. Because, and I've mentioned this earlier, so I'm going to repeat this. In 2017 in December, the Pentagon admitted that they were investigating UFOs, and it was a revolutionary, historic admission by the US government. And, you know, for all intents and purposes, mass panic should have broken out, and it did not. The next day, people went on their daily lives, you know, doing whatever they needed to do. And that to me illustrates that, of course, we're ready, because I don't subscribe to this Hollywood scenario that the moment that the ETs show up, that they're here to, you know, eat us for dessert, because that would have happened a long time ago if that was their agenda. So, you know, I'm more of the, you know, the guy that's a bit more positive towards this, as opposed to, you know, being negative towards the extraterrestrial question.
And we are very grateful for that.
Giorgio.
So we are ready for the next question. Gracias, Dani. La
Yes,
siguiente
we
pregunta,
continue
por
with
favor.
Juan Andrés Alfate from Chile.
Hi, Giorgio. Nice to talk to you again. How are you?
Likewise. Good. You?
I'm fine. Thank you. Okay, this is my question. In ancient times, aliens seemed to be benevolent leaders to humanity. But today, the US government, after the recognition about the existence of UFOs, they think aliens are some kind of threat. So, in this very moment, at the gates of a new contact with the human race, who should be the ambassador between both worlds? Presidents, scientists, spiritual leaders? Who?
So I think it is a combination. It is a combination, but unfortunately, not everybody, the spiritualists and the scientists, and especially the anthropologists and the archaeologists, are not yet on board with this idea that not only are we being visited by ETs right now, but also that we were visited in the past and have been visited ever since, throughout history of humanity. And, you know, you mentioned that, you know, today it's the governments that say it's a threat. Well, of course it's a threat, because if you have technology that we can observe, where we can calculate the speed at which some of these objects are traveling, and some of these objects seem to not only be able to travel at high speeds in the air, but at the same speed they're able to also, without a loss of acceleration, they can also then enter water, so that they're basically trans-medium craft. Well, that is something very strange. And the US government has come forward and said it's not ours. Well, so then whose is it? Is it from China? Is it from Russia? Is it from, where is it from? So they have said it's not theirs. So, well, what's the alternative? Dr. Michio Kaku, the world famous physicist, astrophysicist, he said that it's now up to the scientists to prove that these objects are not extraterrestrials. So, you know, for Dr. Michio Kaku to say this, you know, that dude did not fall on his head. He knows what he's talking about. So by simple calculation of speed and acceleration and abruptly stopping, you know, the composites that we own today, he said, they would shatter, they would disintegrate at these speeds, and especially if, you know, changing directions or coming to an abrupt stop, things like that. Also, you know, so his question is, how is that possible? And so if I have someone like astrophysicist Dr. Michio Kaku, who all of a sudden is very vocal about this, I think it's time, and the world now is listening. And so, you know, it's only a matter of time until more and more people will come on board with this. And this will not happen over time. It will not happen like this. It's something that will happen only over time. It's a disclosure process. It's not a disclosure event. It's a disclosure process.
You're right.
Thank you, Giorgio.
Okay. Thank you, Giorgio.
Also, back in the day, the guys that were in contact with the extraterrestrials, that was not governments. Back then, the church was in charge of different places. Right. So, not the church but by that I'm not referring to the Christian church. I'm referring to the priesthood of any ancient societies. Those were the ones that were in charge. It was not a government per se. It was more like the clerics and the spiritual leaders. Why? Because most likely they had the first interactions with extraterrestrials, and they were not religious or spiritual leaders before that. They became leaders after they had their event or their eyewitness account. So we always have to look at it, the reason why it happened. Religion didn't happen or religion didn't exist in that extent before the extraterrestrials were here. Our ancestors, they worshipped the trees and lightning and the storm and water. That was the gods. Those were the gods of nature. And then something changed. All of a sudden, someone gave instruction. And the last time I went and hugged a tree, it did not give me instruction. So something more happened than just gods of nature.
You're absolutely right. Thank you, Giorgio. Have a nice day.
You too.
Thank you. Recuerden que todos los viernes tenemos el estreno de un episodio nuevo de Alienígenas Ancestrales con Giorgio. Vamos a la siguiente pregunta, por favor.
Yes, from Colombia, Lady Asprila, from Semana Magazine.
Hi.
Hola, Giorgio, ¿cómo estás? Un gusto.
Mucho gusto, gracias.
Giorgio, tengo dos preguntas. La primera es que quiero que me cuentes, durante el desarrollo de la temporada, cuál fue el hallazgo o la información, no sé, la novedad que te causó como gran sorpresa o curiosidad durante el desarrollo de toda la producción.
¿La siguiente?
Y la siguiente es un poco enfocada, no sé si recuerdas que en Colombia en el 2020 se encontró un monolito aquí en Cundinamarca, que quería saber qué opinabas sobre eso, si tenías conocimiento de ello.
Claro que sí. The first part of the question, Giorgio, will be that in season 14, you have been a witness of multiple events and you recount other events. But which episode surprised you the most?
Well, that would be here. Let me look at my list because it's been a while since. Oh, I loved the Decoding the Dragon Gods episode, and of course, one of my favorite topics is recovering the Ark of the Covenant. And I'm biased with telling you exactly which show I like the most because I'm involved with pretty much all the episodes, and they're all like my children. And you should not have favorites. But all I can say is please tune in, and maybe you can tell me next time we talk what your favorite part was.
Now, regarding once upon a time in 2020, in Cundinamarca, Colombia, it was found a monolith. And the monolith that they found reminds Colombia of the existence of aliens. Are you aware of that particular discovery? And what's your opinion, if you are aware of it?
No, I have not. I have not heard of this, and so I once we get off the Google this press conference here, I will Google Colombian monolith and see what's going on. And see, this is why I love doing these things, because these events or these remnants of something weird in the past exist worldwide. It's not just in one or two countries. It's pretty much in every country all around the world. So I can't wait to read up on Colombia's, megalith. Pretty awesome.
So, lady from Colombia, I'll give you homework.
Listo, gracias.
Gracias, mi amor. Vamos con la siguiente pregunta.
Yes, from Brazil, Tupac Guerra, from Mundo Freak.
I'm going to speak in English because it's a bit easier for me than Spanish, and I guess
You can speak
Giorgio
English or
understands
Portuguese.
better.
We're here for you. Don't worry.
Cool,
for it.
cool. So first of all, nice to meet you, and of course you have a huge following here. And my question is mostly about, I don't know if you ever heard about the Operação Prato, the plate operation from 78 in Brazil. It's one of the best UFO cases from Brazil, probably from the world. I don't know if you heard about it, and if you have any opinions about it. No, so let me tell you just a little bit about it. It was a military operation in the 70s in Brazil. So the Brazilian Air Force investigated some allegations of unidentified flying objects in the region of Pará, which is in the north of Brazil. And they finished the operation for 4 months afterwards. And it's quite an interesting operation. And they have a lot of documents and a lot of proof. So maybe if it's interesting,
and this is not the Virginia case, is it?
No. The Virginia case is from the 90s. So I guess part of the question is if you guys are plan or are interested in doing some episodes or focusing more in other countries in the future.
Well, we are now. So thank you for letting us know. Notes. And so, no, because look, one of the things that I've wanted to do in Brazil is I'm familiar with this Pedro de Lozinga, and the writing that's on that stone reminds me of Hittite writing, which is in present-day Turkey. It's very similar. So, and there you just have to wonder, is there a connection? And so, Brazil is an incredible place with that kind of stuff, because as we know, the Amazon to this day, I'm sure, holds many secrets that are waiting to be uncovered.
Totally. Well, thank you then, and if you can send us information regarding that. What's the question?
There wasn't a question, I know. The question was going to be what you thought about the case, but since you don't know the case, I cannot ask you that.
Don't you worry. Now you have a work to do. Send us all the information that you have regarding that particular place discovery and investigation, so we can send that to Giorgio and probably create a next episode about that.
Yeah,
okay?
I'll definitely forward the material for sure.
I will.
And we love to give Giorgio more reasons to visit our countries. So we are all with you. Next question, please, and thank you.
Yes, Daniel Guerrero from Infobae.
Hi.
Vamos, dale.
Hola Giorgio, un gusto saludarte. Quiero aprovechar la ocasión para hacerte un par de preguntas. La primera es que un colega tuyo llamado Ricardo González ha afirmado en diferentes ocasiones que si los extraterrestres así lo quisieran, ya habrían conquistado la Tierra. ¿Estás de acuerdo? Y lo segundo es, ¿cuál es la crítica más absurda que has recibido por tu profesión de ufólogo y qué respuesta le diste?
The first question will be, a colleague of yours, Ricardo Gonzalez, have mentioned before that if the aliens will love to conquer us, they will have done it a long time ago. Do you agree with that or not?
Absolutely, because why would they wait until we have weapons of mass destruction, nuclear bombs and atomic weapons and things like that? Because, we are right now in a very volatile situation, not just geopolitically, but, the aliens are not stupid. They're not dumb. And so they're very careful about what's going on, especially since the end of February here on Earth, because, all this nonsense that's happening right now is certainly one way for me, if I were an extraterrestrial, to lock my doors and not actually visit this planet anymore. And I would not be surprised if there may be some type of an embargo going on because of our, we're grandchildren of apes running around with machine guns. That's who we are. And, you know, of course, we have achieved magnificent things, but we are still, you know, we have this gun problem worldwide, this violence problem. So, you know, my question is not when will they show themselves publicly finally, but rather, are they not showing themselves because Earth is such a mess? And I say this kindly. Of course, we are a magnificent, amazing society, civilization that has achieved untold amazing things. But, you know, if I were an extraterrestrial and if I were to see what goes on as I fly by here on Earth, I would lock my doors.
Well, I hope they don't do that because we love them. Now, the second part of his question will be, in your profession, you have received multiple criticisms. Which was one of the harsh critics that you have received, and how do you respond or come back with an answer to that particular criticism?
Oh, well, I mean, basically, the age-old lie that ancient aliens or I have said that everything was built by aliens. We have never, not once, said that. Not a single thing in our ancient world was built by aliens. The pyramids were built by human beings. Stonehenge, it was built by human beings. Nazca lines, built by human beings. However, and this is where the ancient texts teach us this, and the oral traditions, the spoken word from our ancestors, that this knowledge, the first engineering knowledge, the first way with which we started to build stuff, that knowledge came, according to our ancestors, from the so-called gods, los dioses, lowercase g, but it has nothing to do with God. It has nothing to do with anything spiritual. They were flesh and blood extraterrestrials who taught our ancestors, who were intellectually capable, but technologically primitive. So what did they do? They taught our ancestors how to do certain things. So the extraterrestrials were our first teachers. We never said that the aliens built the pyramids. We never said that. And so why would extraterrestrials dirty their hands anyway? So, so that is basically the biggest, critique that I've heard that is based on falsehoods, because in 14 seasons, we've never said that it was all built by aliens. That's actually the opposite of what we're saying. So, but it seems nobody or those guys are not watching the show. So.
And finally, Giorgio, we would like you to invite all your fans to watch every episode every week on History of the American.
Hola,
Wait, what happened? What is that? What's going on with the sound, please? Okay, thank you. Okay, Giorgio, we would like to have now your final comments, the closing comments, and also we have one last question. Brazil is celebrating 200 years of independence from Portugal, and they would like to see if you can send them a salute or greetings like Happy Bicentennial Brazil or something like that.
Well, they asked me to say it in Portuguese.
Perfect. Okay.
So is it Feliz Bicentenario Brazil, right?
Yes.
Should I just say that, or in context of everything?
No, that would be perfect. That would be it.
So just that line alone. Okay.
Yes, please.
Bicentenario. Okay. Feliz Bicentenario Brazil.
Perfect. Thank you. It seems we have more questions. Mariana, remember, we have a couple more minutes with Giorgio, so go, Mariana, go.
Yes,
Quick
Johanna
questions,
Díaz y Lourdes Gómez from Insólita Experiencia, México.
Okay.
Hola, un gusto saludarlos, Giorgio, César.
Hola, mucho gusto.
permitirnos hacer. Tenemos 3 preguntas, son muy breves. Una de ellas, ¿qué tanto Alienígenas Ancestrales ha ayudado a la sociedad a perderle el miedo al tema de los ovnis, los extraterrestres? Y también, ¿qué tanto ha ayudado a esa concientización entonces? Esa sería la primira.
Well, the first part of the question would be, how much ancient
Good to see
aliens
you. Now
have
I
helped?
see your face. How are you? Wonderful.
Watch out with those innocent faces of these particular guys. They're
I
very
know.
inquisitive. So they want to know do you think ancient aliens have contributed to help dismiss the fear about aliens that some people may have?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great observation. I really do think that Ancient Aliens has supported the cause of the extraterrestrial question, meaning that through Ancient Aliens, people and audiences worldwide have become more familiar with the ancient astronaut theory and this idea that a long time ago we had teachers. And you know, I look back to most of my teachers with quite a fond memory, with positive thoughts. And so, you know, teachers by and large are good people. And so, you know, I think Ancient Aliens has shown that at some point we've had help from someone who taught us the basics. And from those basics, we have grown into the magnificent society that we are today. And through the accumulation of this knowledge that we've amassed over the past 5,000, 10,000 years, we are now able to go back to the moon, to go into outer space, and essentially return where we came from. And so I think that with everything that's happening today, with governments worldwide not only declassifying secret UFO documents, but governments outside of Chile and Argentina and Mexico and Brazil and France, because those were the precursors. They were the first governments to look at or investigate these things. But now for the US government and the German government to come forward and say, you know, yes, we are looking at this. I don't think that without Ancient Aliens' success, that would have been possible. So I have now said for quite a few years that Ancient Aliens has forged the path or has forged the way for everyone else or for everything else that is happening right now, especially what began in December 2017 with the Pentagon leaked Pentagon papers that the US is actively investigating UFOs. And even though they said, well, for 5 years, we know that they've been doing it for decades. So all of this, what's happening right now, to me, is positive. It is something to be embraced. And yes, it's a slow process, but you know, tell me a process that's of such significant meaning that's ever fast. These big things always take big time or a long time.
Perfect. Thank you.
To meet you, and congratulations for your excellent work. César, gracias por ayudarme a traducir mi pregunta. Es saber si Giorgio piensa que, igual que el Pentágono ha reconocido que están investigando los encuentros ovni con militares, si cree que también han investigado en secreto la arqueología en busca de esas pruebas del contacto.
Giorgio, she would like to know that since the government and the Pentagon, to be more specific, have been investigating loud and clear everything about the UFO evidence and existence, if you think that they have also studied all the archaeology of our ancient civilizations as part of the evidence of the existence of aliens around us.
I would venture to say, and this is pure speculation, that some of these people that are doing this are familiar, but I think that the great majority of whoever works on this, they have no idea. And this is illustrated by the recent hearing that happened about 2 or 3 months ago on Capitol Hill in the Senate, where they had this hearing, and with some pointed questions, whoever answered these questions, which in the UFO field, they're sort of common knowledge answers of things that we know from the 50s and the 60s and even earlier, and the people testifying according to what they said were unfamiliar. That to me was like, why are they testifying? Why are they there? Because I think that people who are involved with this should actually know not just the present history, but also, what has happened over the past 5,000 years, especially the things happening in the ancient world, where our ancestors reported in their oral traditions and in many of the written texts that someone descended from the sky and imparted knowledge. So to me, it'd be curious and fascinating to find out, hey, are those visitors from back then the same ones that are coming here today? And I think people may be surprised that there actually is a connection. And so, I think that we live in very exciting and good times as far as the extraterrestrial question is concerned. And I think that within our lifetime, we will make official contact and finally get the answer that they're here.
Claro,
Thank you.
y por último,
Another final
César,
question.
con todo lo que se ha encontrado a partir de este trabajo de alienígenas ancestrales, realmente quizá tengamos al 2022 la clave idónea, la clave perfecta para realizar ahora, buscar el ser humano, el contacto con los extraterrestres.
He would like to know. Yes, he would like to know if finally, with everything that we know and everything that have been found out already open and out in the clear, that we know about aliens, if we as human beings are ready to meet with aliens.
Yes, of course, because I think this can be shown by what happened after the Pentagon Papers were leaked in December 2017. That by all intents and purposes was a revolutionary, it was a historic admission, historic. And, one would have thought, or some have suggested, that an admission like this would cause worldwide panic. And that did not happen. Life continued. In fact, it was almost like crickets. And so I think that, yes, the great majority of the planet is ready. And what an exciting time to be alive, to finally realize, well, not only are we not alone in the universe, but they're here and they're friendly, because, otherwise, let's be honest, they would have not waited to come down and eat us when we have nuclear weapons. So this whole idea that they're now here to destroy us, that's Hollywood, that's entertainment. And I love those movies. They're great, but I don't think that they're entertainment. I think that extraterrestrials, if anything, would want us to succeed, and especially they want the planet to succeed and to survive. And, right now, there's a lot we need to do in order to protect our planet. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news. The planet is more important than all of us human beings put together, because without planets, people do not have places to live. So if anything, the extraterrestrials are looking to save the planet, and hopefully with us. But that part is our responsibility, not theirs, because we have enough brain power to realize that what we're doing right now, we need to hurry up. We need to hurry up. Otherwise, the second thing, we're very close to midnight. And I hope that we
Thank you, Giorgio.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Giorgio. We know your time is of essence, so we have the last question. Gracias, chicos. Vamos a la siguiente pregunta y la última. Mariana.
Fernando Correa Domínguez from TV Azteca, Mexico.
Fernando.
Hola.
Hello. Congratulations,
Hi.
my friends. Congratulations
Thank
to
you.
everybody. Gracias, Cesar. Thank you very much, Giorgio. Nice to see you again. It's a great honor and pleasure
Oh,
to
it's
be with
you.
you.
Good to see you. Hi.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
we are, my friend.
Yes.
The time has arrived to prepare ourselves even more. The governments are already doing them. Es momento de prepararnos, los gobiernos lo están haciendo. That is very important that the media also prepare to communicate this reality that changed everything. Es momento de que los medios también nos preparemos más para comunicar esta realidad. ¿Qué opinas tú de esto, mi querido Giorgio Tsoukalos?
Giorgio, what he would like to know as the final question of today is that we have to be all prepared for the encounter with aliens, including media. Which do you think will be the role that the media can play to prepare all of us to a better chance to encounter with aliens?
Yeah, this is a very good and fascinating question, because I remember now doing this for at least 12 years. I've been doing some of these press conferences for Ancient Aliens, and even before Ancient Aliens, I did quite a few press events online or even in person. And oftentimes when you would see the final product, in the background, you would hear the X-Files music, or you would hear some Twilight Zone, trippy music in the background. And have you observed that in the last 2 years, the X-Files music and the Twilight Zone music has kind of stopped when they talk and address these topics? So the media is crucial in making this transition as topical as possible, and also as independent as possible, or neutral, shall I say, because the media oftentimes they have one way of saying something, and then everything else, well, that's just not how it is. Well, with everything that's going on right now, I think the media needs more responsibility in handling these types of topics in a more serious fashion. And I think that what we've seen for the past 2 years, especially, is that these things are happening now. I mean, you would have never seen a UFO story or UAP story on CNN or on Fox or on MSNBC. And now, almost every other day, you have a new report. And so that is definitely a paradigm shift. And, and I've said this many times before, we live in very exciting times right now.
And finally, my
Giorgio,
friends, congratulations
thank
to
you.
everybody, to the History
Gracias,
Channel, Ancient
Fernando.
Aliens Productions, Latin America. Congratulations.
Gracias, Fernando.
Bless you, everybody.
Gracias.
Thank you very much. Gracias, Giorgio. See you
Giorgio.
soon
Thank
in
you.
Tecate UFO.
Giorgio, muchas gracias por todo. Thank you so much for everything. We just want your final remarks, and of course, your mass invitation to keep watching your show, because it's already 14 seasons of a success, and it's easier to say, but very hard to achieve. So congratulations once again.
Cesar, it was such a wonderful time to be here with you. And I wanted to say thank you, muchas gracias, for the entire community for having continually tuned in to Ancient Aliens. And I can't wait to present to you our new season with topics that you've never seen before, where we delve into topics that are fascinating, that may have a cosmic connection to our origins. And I send you and the entire audience my love, and thank you very much for tuning in.
Thank you so much, Giorgio. We love you, and we love every time that we have this chance to meet, to refresh our fan base, to know exactly what's going on from your mouth and your emotions and your passions, because we love Giorgio, we love Ancient Aliens, and of course, we love history. Thank you so much for everything.
Muchas gracias y besos y besitos.
Thank you, gracias.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody, gracias.
El Arca de la Alianza es una de las grandes piezas clave en la teoría de los antiguos astronautas. Una persona tecnológicamente primitiva no iba a reconocer que se trataba de una máquina.
Algunos creen que el Arca de la Alianza no era en realidad un cofre para guardar las tablas de los 10 mandamientos. ¿Y tú? ¿Tú qué crees?